Hello everyone. Welcome to another Wavelength series. My name is Waveney and I am your leadership mindset coach. I help new managers master their mindset, their communication, and their influence. Now, are you ready to get on the same wavelength? Fabulous. So, wouldn't it be great if you could find a way to be authentic, earn the respect and trust of your team without feeling like you have betrayed yourself or without feeling like you've compromised your self-worth? Wouldn't that be great? Well, when I speak about influential leadership, this is what I'm speaking about. Influential leadership isn't saying yes when you'd rather say no. It isn't about keeping everybody happy. As a matter of fact, if you feel like as a leader you need to keep everyone happy or you need to agree with everyone, it could be the very reason why you're stuck, and it could be the reason why you are not seeing the results that you want to. And so today we're going to be talking about the approval trap, or what we know as people pleasing. And people pleasing is really that voice in your head that tells you to keep the peace, not say anything, don't rock the boat, right? That is what it feels and looks like. And so there's a saying, I've seen it around on the internet, that says, if you want everyone to like you, then you need to go sell ice cream. Yeah, because leadership is not for you, right? I just tack on that part. But if you want everyone to like you, then go sell ice cream. Because as a leader, it's impossible. It's impossible to keep everyone happy. And that's not your role, right? That's not your role. And so today we are going to be looking at this people-pleasing tendency. Before we get into it though, I want to share with you from my experience what I've seen. From an HR perspective, I've sat in rooms where maybe a particular person name has come up for a promotion, and when that person's abilities and I wouldn't so much say qualifications, but experience and capability, it comes up in that conversation, then you hear someone saying, yeah, but they have this deficiency, or they lack this skill, or they're not ready yet because so and this and that. And from that perspective, right, and also knowing what I know, I found that it's really not fair to that person, because that leader has not given feedback to that person, right? I've sat in enough meetings, I've sat in enough rooms, I've been in enough situations where this happens, right? Where somebody is brought up for that promotion and they don't get it because of something that leader says. But on the flip side, what's even much worse, which is really my point, on the flip side, that person has not received feedback from that leader. They don't even know that this is something that X and Y situation or behavior is something that they need to work on. And so they are put at what I would say an unfair, disadvantageous position because of that leader who, let's say, people please, who didn't want to rock the boat. And so I feel very passionately about it. I've sat in enough rooms and I've seen it, and it is something that I've always said, that I don't want to do. I don't want to be that person. I want to be upfront and direct with people. If you do good, I'm gonna praise you. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna provide the resources for you. But if there is something that I see that you can work on, I am going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about it because I am not a people pleaser and because it does the person no good. And so if this is you, if you're looking at this and you don't want to rock the boat, if there's a conversation you're avoiding, which is one of the ways it shows up, then this episode is for you. And so let's talk about how it shows up. So like I just mentioned, it shows up like this. You're in a meeting or you're in a discussion and something comes up. And it could be a project, it could be a person, it could be an initiative that's about to happen. And everybody in the room agrees with it. However, you may be the person that you have institutional knowledge. Let's call it that, right? Institutional knowledge. Maybe you've been in the organization for a very long time. Maybe the person who is speaking, their facts are skewed. There's some misinformation in there. Everybody's agreeing, everybody's sanctioning it, but you know better, and you sit in that meeting and you don't say a word, because everybody else agrees with it and you also verbally agree with that person. It doesn't mean that you're quiet, but you also verbally agree with them. This is what people pleasing looks like. It could also look like someone on your team, maybe they're a star performer, right? They're a star performer, but there even with our star performers, even with our A players, there are always things to work on. And so this person has this, maybe they have a performance issue, maybe it is a behavioral issue, maybe it's some sort of something that you're picking up that you need to address. And because that's your A player, you decide to let it slide. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to say anything, right? It can also look like that this particular person is on the team and they're wreaking havoc. All of your, the persons that report to you, they keep telling you that this person is a problem, it's an issue, they're complaining, and you don't want to address it. You just want to keep the peace. You might say things just, this is the way they are. Their dog just died. They had a really tough time. You make up all sorts and all types of excuses. Let's just keep the peace. Yes, I'll address it, knowing full well you have no intentions of addressing it. Or maybe you've so fooled yourself into thinking, well, maybe tomorrow or what have you. This is how it shows up, right? You don't want to address it. It can also show up by, if you decide to address something, you remove yourself from the equation. So it looks like this. You're addressing something with Mary and you're saying, Mary, Bob had this issue, or my boss had this issue with you. They brought it to my attention. Da 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 da. You've taken out yourself out of the equation. I had a boss who used to call this third-party management. We would make a decision as a company. The company would make a decision, and he would say, okay, they would share, this is the direction. But you had some managers who were really people pleasers who would say, well, this is what the company decide to do. Well, hello, you are a part of the company, right? You're a part of the company. So they third party manage. They third party manage. Okay? Or they blame someone else. It can also look like this. You've already made plans. You've been working maybe all month non-stop or for a few months non-stop, and your friends decide that, hey, we need to connect, let's go out this Sunday evening or this Saturday evening or whenever, and you've committed to it, you've decided that you're going, you've said yes, everybody is excited to connect, to meet up. A co-worker or your boss decides that he's going to have a get-together at his house on that same evening and invites you. And instead of saying, you know what, I am so sorry, I have plans, you say yes because you're afraid. You don't want to look like you're not the only person. You're the only person that's not going from the team. You want your boss to like you. You don't want your boss to perceive you in a negative light. So it's also about boundaries as well. This is what people pleasing looks like, right? And so I am here today to liberate you. So let's look at what is really happening. What is really behind this? Okay. And this is the fun part for me, because sometimes we see these behaviors in ourselves, we see these behaviors in other people, and we judge and we are harsh and it almost seems like it's unforgivable. But I feel like when we understand, when we get to the root of, when we know why something is happening, it allows us to have more grace. It allows us to have the tools in which to work on them, if it's us, or even to provide the resources or to have more patience or extend the grace to the person in which we see this behavior in. And so what's really happening? What's really happening is we call this in coaching, we call this the fawn response. And this is really a trauma response. Now, I know you've probably heard that trauma responses are freeze and fight and flight. Those are trauma responses, but the fawn response is also a trauma response. And what it really is, it stems from childhood. Yeah, people pleasing starts from childhood. And it is this way because the person who is a people pleaser, they feel like the only way they could feel safety is through connection. The only way they could feel safety is through connection. And the only way to feel that connection is to agree with whomever that person is inflicting the pain or abuse or whatever the person, whomever that other person is, right? So in order to feel safe, they had to agree. And the example comes up where in childhood, it's like you may be in an environment where you had to maybe take care of a parent, or maybe there were the two parents in the household and you had to appease one, or your parents were pitting you against the other parent, and so you had to, that sense of safety, that sense of connection, the only way to feel that was to agree with your mother who's saying your father is a bad person, look at what he's doing, just using an example, right? But the way to you feel safety is through connection, and that you had to agree. And so what ends up happening is, it happens so much in childhood that it's a pattern. It becomes a part of you. So if you are a people pleaser, there's something in your childhood that started this. And so people pleasers use it to avoid conflict. So anytime the issue of safety or you don't feel connected, it comes up. So you use it to avoid conflict. You use it to avoid rejection. So if you feel like somebody is going to reject you, you agree with them so you don't have to feel the pain of rejection, right? You use it when you feel fear in general. You use it not to get hurt. The sad thing about this is, it is to the detriment of yourself, because in people pleasing, if you're doing it long enough, you have no sense of self. You can get to the point where you don't even know what you want. You don't even know what you feel, what you truly feel about something, because you are so busy, or was so busy agreeing with everyone that you lose your sense of self. And it's researching this and learning about this, it is really sad to know that there are situations that trigger people to be in that this type of mindset, that in order to feel safe you had to agree, right? And this is why you don't want to rock the boat. This is why you want to keep peace, right? Keep the peace. It is the very reason, but it is to your detriment. The good news is awareness. Awareness is key. Awareness is the precursor to change. And so I believe anyone can change. Anyone can change. Anyone can get better. So let's move on. What is the cost? Because it comes with a cost. Just like last week when we were talking about imposter syndrome, people pleasing comes with a cost. The first thing is you're going to be exhausted. And this is in no particular order. You're going to be exhausted because trying to please people, you're pleasing the people at work, you're pleasing your boss, you're pleasing your team, you're coming home, you're pleasing your kids, you're pleasing your partners, your friends. It is exhausting. You're going to be drained. There's anxiety attached to it because you want to be liked. And if you're not sure, maybe you've made a decision and you've agreed or disagreed, or you're not sure. Anytime you're in that mode, it's about like, okay, will they like me? Will they like me? It can lead to chronic stress. Of course, this stress and burnout, it also leads to huge amounts of productivity. Imagine spending your time or the majority of your day trying to figure out or going your sense of self, or just agreeing with people when you really don't, deep down inside you feel differently, or you feel, or maybe by now you're numb, and so you feel like in order to survive you have to agree. It's exhausting. It is exhausting, right? The other thing too is the fact that you're listening to me, the fact that you're following the people's brand. It tells me that you want to be an influential leader. You want to be better, right? You want to be better. You don't want to be doing people pleasing. But understand this, an influential leader gives feedback. One of the things it costs you is it costs you and your team, because you're robbing your team of their growth and development by you choosing not to give feedback, by you choosing comfort over your comfort over giving the team or that person the feedback. It robs them. It robs them. Going back to the story that I started out and I shared with you, that I've sat in rooms where people's name came up, and in that room people are saying that, okay, they're not ready for the role, but that person never got that real feedback to help them. It's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. And you wouldn't want anyone to do that to you. You shouldn't do it to anyone. And so you rob the team of that ability. You lose credibility as a leader because people can sense when you're inauthentic. Call it energy, call it body language, but what we think and feel, if it's not in alignment, it means it's incongruent. It means it's out of alignment, right? And that is why sometimes we say, my spirit ain't take them, something off with that person. It's the energy. Because what you're thinking and feeling and what you're saying is two different things. It's two different energetic levels. And so you lose your credibility. Not only because you come across as inauthentic, but because you don't have an opinion. You know, it's whatever the status quo says. It's whatever is comfortable. And after a while, you will be found out, because sometimes people genuinely want to know. They genuinely, like, tell me what you are thinking, tell me what you're feeling, tell me what your thoughts are. And you're not able to do that because you don't know. You'll give the answer that you think the person wants to hear. That's exhausting. And it's, you know, it's not, you don't have integrity when you do that. And so the other thing that happens too is you have unclear boundaries. You have unclear expectations and boundaries. So you don't have boundaries, and the expectations are unclear because you are not speaking straight. You're not being authentic. You're easily manipulated, because by the time people find you out, they know that they can manipulate you. Those who are into, you know, that sort of thing. You're easily manipulated. And I added one here that really seals the deal. You have self-loathing, because you can't feel good within yourself. You don't like yourself. When you reflect on your day, when you reflect on those times that you said yes when you really wanted to say no, it's a lot. And when we are alone with ourselves, we can't run from ourselves, right? We can't run from our conscience. We can't run from us. We can't run from ourselves. And so you self-loathe. You don't like yourself. And so my hope today is, when you hear this message, that you take steps to remedy it. Because it is so sad, because you can go through life without even knowing who you really are, what you really like, right? Wouldn't that be sad? But there's a better way. So what's the recommendation, right? This is what I would recommend. Ask yourself this question, and you can write this down. You can stop this video, you can write it down, but really answer this question if you suffer from people pleasing. We have to get to the root of the problem. And so there are two ways to do that. You can call me up, schedule a consultation call. We can go back and release this people pleasing tendency that you have, or you can do this. What was the situation that made you feel that if you didn't please or agree with that person, that you were a bad person? If you were to think back, right? What was that situation? What happened that made you feel like if you didn't agree or say yes, you were a bad person or you were not safe? What was that situation? Finding the root of that answer, that in itself is part of the healing. That would be part of solving this people-pleasing issue, right? Last week I said to you, the body always, remember, our bodies are beautifully designed. They're designed to keep us safe. If you would realize, you might sit there and say, well, you know, this isn't an unsafe thing. Maybe you don't suffer from people pleasing. And you might say, well, you know, I mean, what could happen? Like, you're an adult now. Yes, but our minds don't work like that. Our bodies don't work like that, right? Remember, I've said to you that trauma is your reaction to a situation frozen in time. So every time there's a trigger, you go back to that emotion. Every time you go back to that negative emotion. It's frozen. Your body is frozen. It's holding on to it. The only way to heal and to get past it is to release it. The second recommendation is, I would say, work on your identity. What is the identity of an influential leader? Well, we know an influential leader, one of the characteristics is having integrity. It's about giving feedback. There's a saying that goes, feedback is a gift. Feedback is a gift. I always say, and I got it from somewhere, feedback is the breakfast of champions. Serena Williams, Michael Jackson, guess how old I am, Justin Bieber, anybody, think about anybody who you like, who's popular, who's famous, they did not get to where they are by not getting feedback. I wouldn't be successful in my career if I didn't get feedback. You wouldn't be successful if you don't get feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Do not rob anybody of that. And so work on your identity. What is the identity of an influential leader? Start with those characteristics and start embodying them. The other thing too is you can start today to take low risk, put yourself in low risk situations and conversations. Start by saying no, right? Somebody asks you, would you like tea or coffee? You want the tea? No, thank you. It's as simple as that. Low risk conversations. Start by saying no. Okay? The other thing you can do is whenever someone asks you a question, before saying yes immediately, start by pausing. Well, pause, and then say to the person, let me think about that. Let me think about that. Let this be your go-to before you just blurt out yes. Let me think about that, right? So you can do that. Deep breathing helps. If you're in a situation that you have to make a decision, breathe from your tummy. I spoke about it earlier. You have EFT tapping. You can tap through to start feeling safe, because it's really your body not feeling safe, right? You can repeat this mantra several times a day. I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well. You can close your eyes, you can deep breathe and even say this. And then find time for you. Discover your preferences. Fall in love with you again. Learn yourself. Take time to understand yourself and to understand what works for you, what you like, what you don't like. It is a work in progress. And so I really hope today that I've said something, I've shared something that will help you, that will liberate you from, or put you on that path from your people-pleasing tendencies. You are perfect just the way you are. God made us so unique. There's no one like us. All our fingerprints, every human being, our fingerprints are different. Yes, we may look the same, but we are different. Embrace your uniqueness. The world isn't going to fall apart. People are not going to hate you because you said no. As a matter of fact, people will trust you. At the end of the day, even if you say no to someone, or at the end of the day, even if you gave someone feedback and they don't like it, they will appreciate it in the end, because they will know that, hey, when I go to this person, they tell me the truth. They tell me the truth. There's no filter, there's no fluff, there's no BS. They tell me the truth. And so I want to leave you with this. You can do it. Let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know which one of the points you're going to be, which one of the recommendations that you're going to be working on. Let me know your thoughts around this podcast, which was designed and shared with love. And I hope it liberates you from the prison of people pleasing. Until next time, I will talk to you on another Wavelength Wednesdays. Bye.